Hello guys, today I'm going to explain about the topic HDFS. So let's go into the topic now. Those who are going to watch for the first time, please like, share and subscribe my channel guys. So let's see what is meant by HDFS. So HDFS plays an important role in big data analytics. So if you want to store the data, we need the HDFS basically. So Hadoop distributed, HDFS stands for Hadoop distributed file system. See, if you observe clearly, this is the one where we can use it for reliable storage system. So if you want to store the large amount of data files means then we will go for storage of our data in the HDFS storage part only, where we are going to break our data in the form of some smaller chunks, and these chunks we are going to store it on the nodes, right? So that's why this HDFS is very reliable one, and this is designed completely for storing the larger files on the commodity hardwares. Commodity hardwares are very less inexpensive hardwares. We don't need lot of amount. We are not using any supercomputers or any big servers. We are not using. We are using very less, and a normal nodes and CPUs and normal computers we are going to use just for the storage of our data. And this is completely designed on the principle of storage of large number of files rather than the huge number of small files. We are completely dependent on the number of larger files rather than the number of smaller files here. And Hadoop distributed file system provides a fault tolerant storage layer for the Hadoop and its other components here. So we don't have, that means if any sometimes there may be a crash in your hardware devices. Sometimes they may not work, sometimes they will blast, or sometimes they will corrupt. So in such cases also, as we are going to store our data in the multiple nodes, same copies of the duplicate data we are going to maintain in the HDFS. So how many copies? By default we are going to maintain each and every block, like 3 copies of the data we are going to maintain here. So that's why we can say it like it is a fault tolerant storage layer for the Hadoop here. And the HDFS replication, I told you now we are going to maintain the 3 copies of the data. So that's why it will helps in attaining this feature here for the fault tolerant storage. And it stores the data in a reliable manner even in case of the hardware failure. Even in our hardware parts got failed also, in such cases also it will work without any problem or without any interruption. So it provides the high throughput access to the application of the data by providing the data access in parallel. We can access our data from the multiple nodes parallelly. So that is the basic reason of the HDFS. And if we see here, the data size is growing like anything. So the velocity of the data, that means per minute, how much amount of the data will be generated, we can't assume. So if you take the social media, lot of amount of data will be generated. If you take the websites, lot of events can be generated. From that lot of events, again, lot of log files will be generated. So these are the different things where we can say that our data storage is completely, it will grow on exponentially like anything. So a solution would be to store the data across the network of machines. We need to store the data, and such file systems are called as, we can call it like the distributed file systems here. And since the data is stored across the network of all the complications, so that is the reason we got the Hadoop here. So Hadoop, we can say, we know that it is a reliable file storage system here. So HDFS, it is a unique design where it will provides to store the extremely large files with streaming data access pattern, and it is going to completely run on the commodity hardware here. So let elaborate these terms. They have given the few terms. Let's see what are those extremely large files. So when we can say that a file is a large here, so if the data file size is exceeding more than 1 GB or 1 terabyte, then in such cases we can say it like it is a, say in terms of petabytes if my data is there, in terms of 1000 TBs if my data is there, we can say it like those are extremely large files here. And streaming data access pattern. Streaming data access pattern. This is completely dependent on the principle of write once and read many times. So if you are going to write your data into the HDFS, I can read many number of times from that block here. So that's why I can say it like it is a streaming data access pattern. And once the data is written, large portions of the data set can be processed by any number of times. And commodity hardware. What is this commodity hardware here? Hardware that is inexpensive and easily available in the market. We should be able to purchase all those commodity hardwares. Told you now we are not using any biggest servers or very huge random racks and CPUs at the hard drives we are not using here. Very normal, inexpensive hardwares we are going to use it here. And this is one of the feature where it will distinguish the HDFS from the other file systems. So in the HDFS, we are having one node which is called as the master node, and this particular master node, it will manages all the slave nodes. So one node, it is completely responsible for monitoring all the slave nodes here, and it executes the file system, that is the namespace operations like opening, closing, renaming the files. I can rename the files, I can rename the directories. Should be deployed on the reliable hardware which has high configuration, not only on the commodity hardwares. And we are having the data nodes are also there. That is the data nodes which are called as the slave nodes. So I am having lot of data nodes will be there. I can extend my data nodes like 50, 100,000 like that. I can extend my data nodes here. And the actual worker nodes who do not actual work like reading, writing and processing etc. here. And they also perform what type of things they can perform. They can go for the creation, deletion, replication, and upon the instruction from the master, whatever the instructions we are going to get from the master node, all these instructions can be performed by the slave nodes here. So they can be deployed completely on the commodity hardware. And this is the place where we are going to store the actual data. Only actual data will be stored in the data nodes, whereas in the master nodes, just it is going to have only the metadata information here. We are having only the metadata information here. So with the help of the metadata, what will be there here in that metadata? I am having only the block information like block ID, block replication, block, that means what is my file size, who created that file, what is the time where they have created, date and time, all that information will be there in the master node itself. So that's all guys. Hope you like this video guys. So thanks for watching my video.